Okay, this is our first lesson on area, which is our next topic in measurement. So what we're going to do now, we're going to look at how to calculate the area of a couple of standard shapes. And the first shape we're going to look at is the rectangle and the square. So in the previous lessons we learnt how to work out the perimeter, which is working out the distance around the outside of the shape, whatever the shape happened to be. But if we're now working out the area, that's different. The area is the region of space enclosed by the shape. So this is the area of the square that I'm shading in green, and this is the area of the rectangle that I'm shading in purple. So the area is the amount of space enclosed inside the shape. Not the distance around the outside, that's the perimeter. The area is the amount of space enclosed inside it. So you'll probably remember how to work out the area of squares and rectangles already, and I'm sure you already know that, but we'll just go over it quickly. Looking at our square, if we said that this is the width of the square and this is the length of the square, well, with a square, both of these are the same length. So that side is the same as that side, which is the same as that side, which is the same as that side. And to work out the area of a rectangle or a square, it's its width multiplied by its length. So the area of a rectangle or square, we'll do the square first, the area of the square is equal to its width multiplied by its length. Its width multiplied by its length. But in the case of a square, the length is equal to the width. That's the same as that. So we can say that it's actually the width multiplied by itself, which is the same as the width squared. So for example, if we had a square whose side was 5 centimetres, then the area of that square would equal w squared, and the width is 5 centimetres, so it's going to be 5 squared, which equals 25 centimetres squared. Now the reason why we're squaring the centimetres is because it's actually centimetres multiplied by centimetres again. So always when we're measuring area, the units will be whatever the unit we're using squared. So in this case, because our sides are in centimetres, the area will be in centimetres squared. So we multiply the numbers together and the units in this case are centimetres squared. With our rectangle, this is our rectangle in here. This is our length and this is our width. And I'm sure you already know this, that the area of a rectangle equals its length multiplied by its width. And so if we had a length of 9 centimetres and a width of 2, then the area would equal the length times the width, which is 9 times 2. So it's 9 centimetres times 2 centimetres, which is 18. 9 times 2 is 18. Centimetres times centimetres, that's centimetres squared. So the area would be 18 square centimetres. And what that means is that we could actually fit 18 square centimetres inside that shape. So I'm not doing it very accurately, but if we actually tried to fit little squares in there that reach 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre each, we'd be able to fit 18 of them in there. If we tried to fit little centimetre squares in here, we would be able to fit 25 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not very good squares, I'm sorry about that. But you get the idea, I hope, that you'd be able to fit 25 centimetre squares in that shape. Okay, so the next shape we're going to look at is the triangle. Now, whenever you're confronted with a triangle, the way to work out its area, and once again, we're actually working out the region of space taken up by the shape. So we're looking at the amount of space inside in here. Now, if we want to work out the area of a triangle, the first thing we want to do is make sure that it's sitting flat on the ground. And what I mean by that is that triangle's not really sitting flat. So I want to draw a pretend ground here. There we go. And so what we want to do, we want to grab our triangle and just make sure that one of the edges is sitting flat on the ground like that. So that's what we need to do first. We need to, in our mind, or rotate the book around so that one of the edges is sitting on the ground. Now let's say that we knew that this distance here, well actually, this distance from here to here, the part that's sitting on the ground like that, we call that the base of the triangle. So that's the base of our triangle. And we'll give it the letter B for base. The other measurement we need for a triangle is its vertical height. And what I mean by that is not that height, not the height of the angle or the slant there, but the vertical height. So in other words, its height straight up and down. So you draw a line to the highest part of the triangle, which is there, and the line may have already been drawn for you, but that line there represents the height of our triangle. So we'll call that H for height. So we now know what the height of the triangle is and its base. So the area of any triangle, so to calculate the area of a triangle, in other words, the amount of space inside the triangle, is equal to its base multiplied by its height. So it's the base multiplied by the height divided by 2. So let's put some figures in here and do an example. So let's say for a moment that our base, the base of our triangle, is 10 metres. And let's say that the height of our triangle is 5 metres. That's a pretty big triangle, but never mind. So a base of 10 and a height of 5. So to work out the area of this triangle, the area equals the base times the height divided by 2. So the base is 10, so it's going to be 10 multiplied by the height. The height is 5, and then we divide all of that by 2. So that's going to equal 50 over 2, which is 25. Now once again we're working out area, and so once again the units will be something squared. And in this case, because our measurements were made in metres, it'll be metres squared. And so what that means, I could actually fit 25 individual metre squares inside this shape. So imagine each of those squares is 1 metre by 1 metre. I could fit 25 of those in this triangle. So that's what that means to talk about area. Let's do another example of a triangle. So here's a different triangle, and I'm going to put the measurements in. So let's say that that distance from there to there is 30 centimetres. So it's 30 centimetres from there to there. So I'm also going to give you another dimension, and it's going to be I shall put that other dimension in a moment. Okay, so there's our triangle, and what we want to do, we want to work out the area of our triangle. So it's the amount of space inside the shape, like that. Now, before I'll give you the other measurement, remember the first step we have to do. We have to turn the triangle around so that one of the sides, or one of the known sides, is actually touching the ground. So if I put my ground, I draw a pretend ground about there. So there's my ground, and I'm going to grab my triangle and everything, and try that again. Grab my triangle, and we're going to rotate it so that that side that we know is now, it's not quite turned around enough, is it? So that side is now on the ground. Now, because this side's now on the ground, we can now call that the base. Remember, it has to be on the ground, flat on the page, or on the ground to call it the base. So now it's the base. It actually doesn't have to be flat on the ground, but you need to be able to visualize that, okay? So you need to be able to use one side of the triangle as our base. And often you just turn your head around, or you just turn the triangle around in your own head to make it look like it's on the ground. I'm just trying to show you an easy way to begin with to visualize these things. So there's our base of our triangle, and the other side I'm now going to give you can probably guess what it is. It's the vertical height. And the vertical height is straight up and down from the ground, like that. And the highest point of our triangle, there it is there. There's the highest point right there. So there's my height, h, and I'll say that that's also 30. No, we won't make that 30. We'll make that 20 centimetres. Okay, let's work out the height, the area of this triangle. So remember, the area of a triangle equals its base times its vertical height divided by 2. And in this case, the base is 30, the height is 20, and we need to divide that by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6, with 2 zeros on the end, so 30 times 20 is 600, divided by 2, and so that equals 300 centimetres squared. It's centimetres because our measurements are in centimetres, and because we're talking about area, it'll be centimetres squared. Okay, well this concludes part 1 of our lesson on area. Go to lesson 2 on area to continue. Thank you.